Do you want to funnel mobs with the precision of a slaughterhouse? Do you want to make it through an entire storm shield defense without a shot fired? Do you need the building tips and tricks to push late game content? Well, then this guide is for you. Stuck on Pandora here with tips, tricks, and information on the fort building within Fortnite. During the stroll through Stonewood, building may seem like a tacked-on accessory, but as you progress through Plankerton, you'll quickly realize that fort building is a necessity within Fortnite.
Rico! It's all down! Everything! Vince?
As so, it helps to know some designs and how the AI goes about destroying your base. This build sets out to show you first the basic assumptions the community has when it comes to building defenses, AI pathing, and a couple tips. Then I'll show you some designs that display these concepts in-game. Finally, some bonus tips and tricks. Part 1, we'll go over some basics. The first tip is that the game is split into a grid. The game has a grid which is hidden from view. This can be assessed because we can't build at an angle. Everything can be measured in a lattice work. One block represents one tile. This is important and underlies the entire building system, as the AI seems to generate its pathing in terms of tiles. Number 2, AI pathing. There isn't a definitive answer on AI pathing, as the devs haven't said how it works in a specific way, but players build and observe. And the working model is that the AI looks for the path of least resistance. It takes the objective as priority. Husks take you as secondary. Smashers just destroy, lobbers look for you. But the legion of husks that bombard your forts follow a structure. They measure the shortest possible path with the least possible barriers. They look at the health of the walls as they proceed and decide whether to path around them or destroy them. Husks do not perceive traps as an obstacle. It's this principle that every building tip follows from. I'll get more in depth on how to route them deeper into the video. Number 3, farming on private. Fort building for storm shields gets intense. I was just playing through the side quest for our friend's final Plankerton defenses, and 7 through 10 were battles that saw the fort take heavy damage. You'll want to build. Here's my tip for this. Set your match to private, go into your preferred zone depending on the mats you need. For instance, silver ore or malachite farming requires a higher level zone, but if you just need copper, head to Stonewood. For the purpose of this guide, I'm only grabbing my Outlander to go max my materials and wood and brick and metal, and then bank them into my storm shield so I can have the materials at hand to build. Number 4, maximize your class. This ties into farming on private. Grab mats with an Outlander for their harvest tool benefits. Here's a tip. Your harvest tool is actually strongest in Stonewood because the health of resources scales with everything else. Grab your constructor when you want to go actually build, because this will maximize the efficiency of costs. Choose your soldier or whatever you prefer for the actual defense missions. In this way, you have a nice foundation to start your experimenting and building for part 2 without spending too much time. Part 2. Okay, now let's get into using these ideas, how the grid works, tiles, farming, and AI pathing to building some forts. I'll give you some of my favorite designs, how to build them, and how they work. Number 5, Trojan Pyramid. This is the simplest and easiest demonstration of how AI pathing works. I didn't come up with this idea, it's been around a minute, but I call it a Trojan Pyramid because what seems like a free lunch for the AI is just a death trap. This can be used on both Atlas and Van missions, which I have to thank my friend Mythic Weeb for doing the design on the Ride the Lightning missions. Just build a square grid around the defensive objective, make the floors into half walls, and put down a set of metal ceilings sloped so as to allow the AI up to the top. Then, putting in archways, put on a roof, upgrade both the floor and roof at least once, because the primary weakness here is lobbers and propane tanks. They can break it. AI can dig down as well, so your trap should be strong. Upgrade your foundation and siding to the maximum. The AI now sees either a wood cork to bust on the ceiling or hefty steel walls all around. They'll course straight towards the cork, which you've booby-trapped with the best of your arsenal. I use this build often. It's simple, repeatable, and doesn't tax resources too heavy. It also displays how all other builds follow, finding ways to rout the husks into death. Number 6, Deterrent Sandwich. The Deterrent Sandwich is a way to stack the most possible fortification health in one tile. The idea was invented by Spasticon, a YouTuber and Redditor. I'll link in the description below. You place a floor tile, subtracting 2 pieces horizontally to make a raised wall, a half wall. You make a ceiling tile and angle it away from the direction of the husks, then place a wall at the back and the front. The AI sees X amount of health within the tile, and this causes them to reroute if you leave an easier path to the objective. Number 7, Deterrent Sandwich Hallway. Here's how this works in game. You see the direction of an incoming storm, and you build deterrent sandwiches in a wall to reroute them towards a straight path into the objective. The AI sees the path of resistance as the straight shot to the objective, rather than the time it would take to require for it to bust through 4 layers of walls. You line the hallway to the objective full of traps and enjoy watching your Creation work beautifully. Deterrent Sandwich Minimalist. The deterrent sandwich is the meat and potatoes of pathing the husk. But once you understand that foundation, you can experiment with that knowledge. Here, one of my friends and teammates, Shadow, runs with the deterrent sandwich idea and turns it into a death maze. The same basic ideas run through this build, making the AI course around tiles by loading them with defensive health, while at the same time opening up the main objective. Here, the amplifier sits in the middle, open and nearly unprotected except for a box of triple thick steel walls. He's left the killing field beyond that open, then put in low half walls so the husks walk through a gauntlet. A very satisfying build for its minimal approach and effectiveness. Number 9, some more notes on AI pathing. The minimalist build lays the foundation for the building of your effective forts. So another note on AI pathing. A deterrent sandwich will only make them move up to 3 tiles left or right. For instance, the husks spawn 8 tiles away, and you've built a row of deterrent sandwiches 8 long with an open hallway at the end. It is quicker for them at that point to just destroy the walls and move forward. If you want to reroute them longer distances, you have to add another tile deep of deterrent sandwiches. So to route the husk 6 tiles long to the left and right would require building another row of deterrent sandwiches. The 8 mentioned in the example would require 3 tiles deep of deterrent sandwiches for the AI to route. You can see how this would require a lot of going back to the opening tips and farming up mats to build and repeating. So running with the notion of moving husks can open up your creative muscles to do something like a minimalist build. Point being, the husk will only reroute so far before you'll need to sink more resources, so a little experimenting can create elegant solutions. 10. Pits and the environment. This build goes hand in hand with a tip about building in general within Fortnite. Check your environment first to see what you have going for you. The most obvious boon you have on defense is having a pit on the edge of the map available to you. The husks, if knocked into a pit, excluding flingers and lobbers, will just despawn from the game world. So if during a building phase you loot around and see a basement, cellar, crypt, valley, whatever, that can be rigged to your benefit. Use it and greatly save your resources and ammo. Okay, over here, let's see if this at least works. For now, I gotta hurry up and get east. Form, just let it do its job. The wall launcher gonna, there we go, see? There, they're in the pit. They'll die in there automatically. Using the ideas detailed earlier on rerouting husks and their pathing, give them a simple path to the objective, which also requires they walk adjacent or over the pit. Use wall pushers or floor launchers to fling them to their sad deaths. Some other environmental factors which can help you are rivers, ponds, etc., as the enemy is slowed down when walking through the muck. Being given the high ground is a great advantage to you, giving the player opportunities to use launchers or fling husks back into their hallways and mazes. While being in a valley or downhill can allow husks to jump onto the roof of your fort, so you must make allowances for this. Number 11, man-made pit. When the environment doesn't want to give you an advantage, make one. This build also comes from Spasticon, but it is my favorite build I've tried in Fortnite so far. It's a bit of a novelty, and while I've used it to great effect on Ride the Lightning missions, it can be quite susceptible to lobbers and smashers. This idea takes full advantage of rerouting and enemy pathing. You give the enemy a ramp, 3 or more tiles away from the objective, and then create a bridge to the objective and a ramp down to it, giving them a single straight path. Along the bridge, build wall pushers just as if you had a natural basement or pit in your game. In the area the husks will be knocked into, create a box of deterrent sandwiches which surrounds the perimeter and extent of the bridge. On the opposite end of this man-made pit, line the wall, floors, and ceilings with traps, along with a ramp out of the pit and back outside. The husks will reroute back out of the pit, still seeing it as easier to walk over the bridge to the objective rather than attacking the deterrent sandwiches. You need to make allowances for knockback. If you have a smaller pit, make higher walls. A long pit will get by on 1 high walls but needs more deterrent sandwiches to keep the husks routing back out of the pit. You now know the basics of fort build and some of the designs. Just a couple more quick tips to help you along. You can deconstruct faster if you edit the structure and either put it into the smallest possible structure or just reshape it. Slope walls can act as stairs for players, but husks can't walk up them. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you. I'll see you at twitch.tv/stuck on Pandora. Thank you for watching. I'm working on a second one of these, and I'll be going over traps and a little some bonus advanced tips and a couple more videos on progression. So I'll see you then. Later, guys.